This song has the trademark like womp womp sound because it's.
You mean womp womp womp?
That's a call and response, by the way. I hope you at home, you at home did the taste. What a good song.
No, but we're specifically singing James Charles singing Taste.
Yes.
Which is even better than original Taste. Sabrina Carpenter's Taste should have sampled James Charles.
Missed opportunity, even if it was a little bit at the beginning.
Just a little.
Because doesn't that start the album?
Yeah.
Does that start short and sweet?
Yeah.
Well, I leave quite an impression.
That's the very beginning.
Hey, howdy, hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Mike's Monday Jams, the official podcast for music appreciators everywhere. Today we're going to be talking about the song Estimated Profit by the band The Grateful Dead. Let's get it. I know you've been patiently awaiting this episode with the subtle foreshadowing from last week.
I've been dying.
Which, you know, speaking of the subtle foreshadowing, those videos are, they're perfect.
Ooh.
They're pretty funny.
They're a good time. EC and MC here on the track. Today we're honoring the life and legacy of Grateful Dead bassist, the late Phil Lesh, as, again, subtly shadowed last week. And it's Monday, November 4th. It's election week. Make sure you go out and vote.
Your civic duty.
Yes.
As they say. And
November 4th is our good pal Spencer's birthday. Shout out.
Happy birthday,
shout out to Spencer.
I think Miles' birthday is also this week, but I'm not sure what day it is. I'm gonna have to follow up on that.
Birthday week for Miles and Nito. We missed Mia's birthday last week.
Oh, whoops. Sorry, Mia.
Maria Cookie. Happy belated. And my sister's getting married this week, so woohoo. Big week
time.
all around. And, you know, it's Christmas now. It's November. So.
Yeah. See, I love my fall decor. I don't think I'm ready to part with it. But I do think I could be down to decorate for Christmas before Thanksgiving. Just because like we won't be here all the way until Christmas, so maybe I need extra time with it.
Yeah, maybe like about the 20s of November, the teens.
Yeah, like the week of Thanksgiving, I think that we can start Christmas decorating.
Thanksgiving is so late this year. It's like the 27th, 28th.
Yeah, it's almost because Iron Ball is in December.
Yeah,
it's like December 1st.
How often does that happen? You know,
it's crazy. I did look on ESPN. It says 3:30 or 4. Or 6 or 8:30 is what it says, which seems really weird, but that's what it says.
4 different options.
But all of them are not noon. Not that I ever think Iron Bowl would be at noon.
No, I would never.
Iron Bowl is very 3:30 kickoff.
Even
vibes.
when Auburn's been absolute garbage, it hasn't been
in this year.
Yeah, it hasn't been a noon kickoff.
Yeah.
Like the year they went to 4 overtimes, didn't Auburn only have like 4 or 5 wins going into that game? Or something.
I think so. It was like really unfortunate.
Yeah, it was still at 3:30. So
yeah.
And you know we're recording the day before. It's November 3rd when we're recording. Daylight savings happened. So if you didn't turn your clock back, or you know if you're a resident of Hawaii or Arizona, you're fine. But
how many people have clock? We have the clock on the wall that you like so much that makes our living room look like a school.
It does not.
Oops, sorry, didn't mean to bump the microphone.
Well, I got to change all the watches now, especially all the digital ones.
You do have things like that. I would never think to change a clock.
Your car changed automatically. I saw that. That was nice. Oh, yeah,
the car changes automatically. Obviously, the phone changes automatically. I'll insert a photo. We do have a clock that Mike really likes that I've gotten very accustomed to. I don't mind the clock, and I do look at it. But it does look like a school clock. And actually, on the FaceTime a couple days ago, when I was on a FaceTime with Gigi for some reason, she was like, did that come? Like, was that already in the place when you moved in? She was like, it looks like a school clock. She said it on her own volition.
No.
It looked much more school-like in the old apartment when it was
Cinder
cinder
block.
block walls and you had it over the door.
Listen, it was like $6 from IKEA, and the AA battery in there lasts for like 2 years, so it'll be
More
fine.
power to it, I guess.
It'll be fine. But yeah, Mariah is slowly waking up because
She's defrosting.
she is defrosting, coming out of her yearly slumber
Mm-hmm.
to assault the ears of many around this time of
But
year.
more importantly, Michael Bublé has
Correct.
defrosted.
So please just fall in love with me this Christmas.
And it is wild. I saw like Christmas ads on Halloween. I feel
I
like
do feel like
when
the
we
Christmas
were
ads are hitting early.
we were streaming some stuff. The ads were Christmas themed,
Mhm.
like Old Navy and the peonies and whatnot. You know.
Mhm.
But so I guess it's Christmas now. But the Grammys are moving to Disney Plus. That was another piece of news for the week.
Interesting.
Similar to the Rock
Were
and
they
Roll.
on ABC before?
I think so. But similar to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, which was like 6 hours long.
So long. We just wanted to watch. We just wanted to watch the Jimmy Buffett part, and we could not get the Disney Plus to fast forward properly. It took us like maybe 10 minutes to find it.
But we found it. It was a
It made
wonderful
me cry. It was
ceremony.
very sweet.
James Taylor was very, very,
Mhm.
very kind and endearing. But yeah, the Grammys are moving to Disney Plus, so I guess that's something.
Interesting. I don't know the last
Interesting.
time I watched the Grammys.
No, we usually only like the performances that come out of it.
Yeah, like maybe I'll watch something on YouTube.
Yeah, if somebody does some like wild collab,
Mm-hmm.
like Chris Stapleton and Dua Lipa sing, Follow the Yellow Brick Road.
I actually would stay so far away from that. It's not even funny.
The Rainbow
Oh.
Connection.
That would be interesting. I think Ice Spice and Chris Stapleton sing the Rainbow Connection.
Jeez. What a collab. But yeah, today's artists, the Grateful Dead, you know them, you love them, the GDGD.
I'm not sure about
They're
the
Emma's
love 'em
favorite. We've done some speaking on them in the past. Won't get too much into it, but would love to explore a little bit more about Phil specifically. But we're talking about Estimated Profit, but specifically their version from the Cornell show in '77, and we'll touch on that in a second. But they're like the ultimate jam band, like the OG, the ones that everybody wants to be and follow and copy, and they started in San Fran in the '60s, produced over 4 decades of music before frontman and band leader Jerry Garcia passed in the '90s.
And they take his body and make it into the bites of Cherry Garcia ice cream.
Yes, they just take one
Ben-
follicle of hair
Yep,
per
Ben and
pint. Fun fact about the GDGD, they only had one chart-topping single on the rock charts, but still amassed or made a massive following over their 4 decades of a very, very loyal following that would travel to the ends of the earth to see them multiple times. And of course, you know what that one song is.
Touch of Grey.
Correct.
I
Great
did
job.
know.
Great
I
job.
did
Ding,
know.
ding, ding.
It's alright. I will get by.
You're a deadhead.
No. Don't say that.
So she's like, it's an insult. Stop.
Don't say that about me.
Zach, stop. But yeah, for the amount of success they had, only one chart-topping single, and it was on the rock chart. Like on the Billboard 100, it only made to like 8. So never really had
It's
like a
tolerable.
true number one.
It's
So
pleasant.
it's a banger. It's very optimistic, very positive. I will get by. We will get by.
Yeah, it's pleasant.
It's on the running playlist because we
Running
will
to that
get
seems
by.
crazy to me.
It does
Now,
not. It's
the
so optimistic.
The optimism I can get behind, but like I'd be hearing myself breathe through Touch of Grey. I can't aggressively exercise unless it's like really loud.
So you're not listening to like Vince Guaraldi Trio?
No,
you
I mean
know?
that's pretty hardcore. The Great Pumpkin Waltz, but maybe even the Thanksgiving theme. That one is underrated.
It is. It doesn't get as much attention.
No, because we're always talking about the Christmas ones, and I feel like
Skating.
skating. Y'all, Skating is underrated on the Christmas album. Skating is one of my favorite Christmas songs.
It's a good one.
Love Skating.
It's a good one. They had a number of different outfit changes as a group over the years, but there was a chord that remained constant over the 4 decades, and Phil Lesh was a part of it. Nobody else was playing bass for the GD. It was just Phil. But Phil himself, he started by playing violin at a very early age, and he was like really into free jazz.
Oh.
And that was his thing. And he played trumpet for a while too, because he was in a community college and wrote some arrangements for big bands, and he played trumpet. And he met Jerry while he was volunteering for a little public radio show.
Well, that's cute.
And it was allegedly they had very different musical interests. Phil was kind of into the freeform jazz and whatnot, and Jerry was more into like the bluegrass kind of jammy stuff. But they were friends despite their, varied interests. Then Phil started working as a mailman.
Oh.
And Jerry invited him to go see, because before the GD was the GD, they were the Warlocks.
Oh. Okay.
Jerry invited him to come see the Warlocks. Phil loved it. He said, "Hey man, I love it." A couple weeks later, Jerry asked him, "Hey, will you be the bass player?" And Phil was like, "That's interesting. I've never played bass, but sure." So Phil, imagine starting this career, that everybody knows you for, bassist of the Grateful Dead. You hadn't even touched a bass.
That's interesting.
When you started. And I think Rolling Stone listed him as the 11th greatest bassist of all time.
Wow.
He never touched a bass.
Who was number 1? Was it Paul?
I think it's Geddy.
Oh, okay. Was Paul?
I think
Paul
Paul's
in the
top 5.
Okay,
yes.
I was about to say.
But pretty interesting. I mean, it's like King Midas there. You touching and is going gold. But the thing is, one might think that would kind of be bad because it's like, oh, he doesn't know the ins and outs of the instrument. He wasn't classically trained or that kind of thing, but he just kind of paved his own way. He was just making it up as he went. But to me, that was a benefit to his playing because he didn't have any normal conventions to base things off of.
Oh.
So he was just kind of doing his own thing. He didn't know, he didn't have any schemas of how to play the bass or what the bass should sound like.
You have a personal affinity with that word, I think. I feel like I've heard you use it a couple times.
It's a cognitive psychology concept. It's constructivism. You construct your own schemas. It's how you perceive the world.
All right, I don't want to hear about your schemas anymore.
So this would be how he perceived the bass, man. And so he's in the band. He's got this very unique style. They often credit him as being the catalyst of the chaos, the one to usually start, because if bass as an instrument is normally designed to keep time or be a constant fixture in the background, Phil's a stone cold killer. I mean, he's all over the place. He's putting in these very melodic lines, but you have to be listening for them. And as a band, you're normally bass works with the drums to lay down the tempo, create a solid foundation. And he did that, but at the same time, he was very artistic with it. So
Catalyst of the Chaos is a sick ass name.
yeah, he should have gotten that tattooed on his forehead.
Yeah, I might. I might get that on my butt cheek.
Catalyst of the Chaos.
Then it might make it look like my butt specifically. Catalyst of the Chaos. I don't know how I feel about that.
After a trip to the Taco Bell, it might,
Yeah, or too many margaritas, and then it's shaking. Then it's shaking and it's grooving.
And it's the Catalyst of the Chaos.
Catalyst of the Chaos.
So, quite the nickname. Mm-hmm. He could have at least gotten a little thing for his bass amps to put over it. It was Catalyst.
That's awesome. Kind of like his vampire name.
Yes.
Phil, Catalyst of the Chaos.
It is Phil Lesh, Catalyst of the. He just never stopped catalyzing chaos.
I don't know if catalyzing is a word.
Well, it is now. But his sustained interest in jazz, like, helped influence the band over the 4 decades. Because, I mean, you know, jammy stuff has its roots in jazz. Because jazz is like, all right, next 12 bars, it's you, big fella. Go ahead. Play it. We're in this key. Go. And we're doing this style. Go. And, you know, jam is obviously like that. Like, all right, I'm going to take this right here. Let me go. So, obviously had a big influence on the band, but, you know, he was interested in Coltrane and some other folks, and just playing it around them, like, helped, you know, influence their style and their sound. And even in the 80s and the early 90s, they would play with, like, a saxophone player on the stage sometimes at some shows. And so it was like, oh, that's obviously very jazzy. So influencing yourself can be quite nice, I guess, or the entity that you're a part of, even if you're not even realizing it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when the Grateful Dead kind of disbanded after Jerry died, Phil had his own little outfit called Phil Lesh and Friends. And he played with some other, like, Dead-like things, but didn't do anything with Dead and Company. He let O'Teal take that honor, but he was a stone cold killer, man. You just had to be listening for it. And if you don't listen closely, like, you could kind of miss it. But you could tell that he was listening just as much as he was playing, because Jerry's obviously the talented guitar man that he is. And it's hard when that person has a spotlight and you're just kind of over to the side, like, laying down some sweet lines, you know. But as Jerry's soloing, he's, like, taking that in and trying to, like, come up with counter melodies and, like, responses to what Jerry's playing. So you have to listen to it.
That's crazy. I don't know how the hell you do that.
Yeah.
Personally.
It's hard enough just to get out there and, like, play something that was rehearsed, but let alone to just, like, be there. And, you know, all right, then that's why they had amassed such a following, because
They must never gotten nervous.
nah, no, not at that point.
No nerves.
No way. Just get out there, whatever. But that's if you go to, like, even a Dead Company show, like, they don't, Los Angeles, how the hell are you? It's just, they just walk on,
No nerves.
scatter a little bit.
Do you
and go.
ever get nervous?
Are you single?
Do you ever get nervous? Are you single?
I don't think we can continue with that. That gets
No,
a
I'll
little
leave it
dirty.
there. I'll leave it there.
But you could tell he was listening as much as he was playing, which is really, really awesome.
Super
Case in
cool.
point, couple of examples. If you go listen to The Stranger from one of the Europe 72 tapes, very, very melodic playing there. The Scarlet Begonias from this very show that we're talking about today, from the very beginning, you can hear, like, how awesome Phil is playing as the song's kind of getting into the groove. The Dark Star from Veneta, Oregon in 72. There's a moment in which, like, again, chaos is just, it's ensued. And bro stepped on the overdrive and just, like, playing power chords with the bass. Like, it's pretty awesome. And then with a song like Turn On Your Love Light from even some of the early, like, the 60s stuff, like, he could track a melody very well. And he was just one of a kind. So, you know, rip to Phil. But today's show, or I guess the album that we're picking from, again, is that Cornell show in May of 77. Not like I can add too much to this conversation that hasn't really been said already, because it is quite praised as their best show, oftentimes. And so a lot of it speaks for itself. But I love how unsuspecting it is, because, like, you know, for most bands, it's like, oh, greatest show I ever played, it was like MSG sold out, or oh, it was in LA, blah, blah, like something you might expect. No, Grateful Dead roll up to a college campus. That day it snowed in May in, you know, upstate New York. Jerry thought the venue was a dump. They played in, like, an old gym in Barton Hall. Like, and they had even come back there a couple of years, like, later. They were like, oh, this dump again? Like, and it was just this randomly organized.
That's how a lot of people think about Cornell.
Oh, not the Ivy League tea.
It's the Ivy League for people that can't get into the rest of them. It's the lowest level one. And so all the other Ivy Leagues really look down on Cornell.
Well, You know, Andy from The Office went to Cornell. So.
There's a reason why they say he went to Cornell. It's because people who go to Cornell suck.
Oh, well, he does.
Sorry. And he sucks really bad.
He's a little unredeemable.
Yeah.
Perhaps one of the most unredeemable characters on television.
He's completely insufferable. Yes, there's not a positive quality about him.
The Nard Dog,
Ooh.
as he is known. So it's considered their ultimate show, even though it was just a randomly organized college show, which they would do often. They played on a numerous amount of college campuses. They played earlier this year, or maybe it was after this show, but it was this year on this Spring 77 tour. They played at the University of Alabama.
Sick.
At Coleman Coliseum, which was like University Coliseum at the time. Or
Probably
whatever,
looked
but,
exactly the same.
Exactly. But like pretty cool. So they like did college shows all the time.
Cool.
Collegiate shows, which I guess a lot of bands in the 70s would have done anyway for like homecoming and whatnot. I mean, my dad talks about the years he was at Florida State, like the homecoming artists were like Talking Heads, Bruce Springsteen.
That's wild.
Chicago, and it's like my homecoming artists were like I couldn't even tell you who some of them were.
Was it Lil Yachty?
Well, Lil Yachty, Ray Shrimmer, but the others, you know, say
Lil Bo?
Lil Bo. But you know, just goes to show you the world we live in. Things are changing. But the song, it originally comes from an album called Terrapin Station, and it came out later in the year. Like the show was in May, and the album came out in July. But they did that all the time. They would like tease new songs. Like Touch of Grey, I think, came out in the late 80s, like 87. But the first time it was played live was like 82. Like they would
really
like,
held on to that one.
Yes. But people weren't listening to their studio stuff. Like, they would put out studio albums because they had record deals that made them go back into the studio and do stuff. Like, people were listening to the tapes that they recorded at these shows. And, like, they were trading around and stuff like that.
How were they making the money?
How are they making the money? Great question, because they encouraged the taping.
I know.
They said,
and,
hey,
like, then that was how you made the money. It wasn't as much the touring, because the touring wasn't as lucrative as it is now.
Right, but the jam bands make their money because they're constantly touring. Like...
Did they have families?
Yeah, but they would like all travel like together as this like pack. Like they often talk about how many stories of like kids on the road and things of that nature, but they were constantly touring, so it was like the income was always coming.
That would be interesting to hear from the children.
Yes, it would.
What it was like to grow up in that.
With the GD. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's how they make jam bands. It's the same with Goose. Like, that's why Goose is always out on the road, because it's like people aren't listening to their studio stuff. They're, you know, going to see the shows and reliving the shows. Because now, like, people don't really allow taping as much, but the band will tape it for you.
Yeah.
And then they'll turn around and sell it, which is nice, because it's like professionally, for professional recording equipment. And I think more bands should do that. More bands should be on Nugs, okay?
Yeah, because, I mean, you still have to pay for it. And honestly, it probably makes it more money to do that than it is to put it on Spotify, because you have to pay for it.
100%. And, like, it can be so easy to just make somebody of the road crew in charge of that. Like, hey, you're in charge of taking the audio clips, uploading them to Nugs within the next, like, day or two after the show, and... I mean, when you buy a show off of Nugs, it's like $10 minimum, you know?
Yeah, you're
like,
probably making way more money off of that than Spotify.
Depending on, like, what kind of file you're after, how high quality of a file you're after. Nugs make CDs. Like, you could buy a CD version of what
we all want that.
In some bands, like Dead & Company, if you scan or if you upload the numbers on your barcode from your ticket, they give you the show for free. Like within a couple of days. So that's kind of nice too. Anyway, more bands should be on Nugs. There, I said it. But I guess like the types of bands that are on Nugs, like they're doing something different every night. It's not like just a...
Which we've talked about at length on the podcast, about everybody nowadays having a strict set list and you're going to see a play.
Yes. But again, arguably the band's best show and arguably the best tour of their history, their touring history. So, tourist history. So, but the song today, Estimated Profit, I would say it's a top 10 Dead song for me.
All right.
But what's so marquee about it is its odd time signature.
Ooh.
Emma has a thing for odd time signatures.
It's interesting to me. It seems so hard. So
Yes.
it's particularly impressive to me. And something as someone who grew up surrounded by music is something easy to pick up to me.
What's your favorite time signature?
I mean, probably 6/8.
Okay.
I think 6/8 is probably my favorite. I
It's
love
very
a-
bouncy.
I like a triplet.
Yeah.
Come on, Migos.
A lot of Sousa stuff in 6/8, like just very bouncy.
Yeah, but then if Sousa's in 6/8, you're doing it in 2.
Right. It's like cut time.
I want to be focusing in on the triplets.
That used to make me so. Side note about Sousa. All right. Love him. He's a Skrillex of his time.
John Philip Sousa, the Skrillex of his day.
But when we would play Sousa in like marches in band growing up, like cut time is so stupid. Just write it how you want it to be done.
I agree.
Like it's confusing. You're like, oh, the quarter notes are 8 notes. Like, oh, like that's confusing. Just write it like that.
just for fun.
Because you got the little fancy C at the beginning. No, get the hell out of here. So that's how I feel about cut time.
I feel like someone we know that directed us in band might have just enjoyed us playing Sousa and things in that could be directed in 2 because it was easier.
Oh, I liked playing the Sousa stuff because, well,
I only have to make it go one way, not the other way too.
so Emma played flute and I played the trombone, which Sousa loved both of those instruments. They were fun parts to play for both of us.
Oh, when I played the piccolo, though, there was usually a separate piccolo part, and I was the only person playing it.
That is true.
And it was frightening. When I had to do stuff by myself as the piccolo and the flutes didn't do it too, because a lot of times the piccolo part would just be the flute part taken up an octave, but sometimes it was different than the flute part, and I'd be the only person playing in the whole band. Y'all, I was
solo
not
the whole
good.
time.
I was never
Confession.
good. I never practiced one day, ever. Ever. I half-assed my way through all of band. All my entire childhood, and I'd be like, "This is ridiculous. I have to play this."
I would practice some.
I
but,
practiced
like-
maybe 2 days for All West every year for the All West audition, and I never wanted to go to All West. It was like I just didn't want to get in trouble for doing bad at All West.
But that was the thing is like, I would practice some, and I would make fun of everybody who practiced every day, probably similar to yourself. But then like, I'd do like super mid at All West, and then I'd be like, why didn't I make it? Like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't like, practice
I didn't
every
want to
day.
go to All West.
I wanted to go at least once.
I think I only made fun of people that practice all the time that also like were really low in the band and like did bad. It's like, well, what are you doing at home? You say you practice all the time. I'm like, I'm the only person that plays this instrument and I'm ass. Like, you're not working the system right. I was like, oh, nobody else plays the piccolo? Well, I'll be number 1 if I do that. I don't have to try.
If I'm the only one, then I am simultaneously first and last.
Yep. It worked pretty well for me.
And you're still here today.
I'm still here
When's
today.
the last time you picked up a piccolo?
My senior year last concert, I never touched it again. And actually, we should sell it. That should be something my dad had found from my room.
Yeah, probably. I think
didn't
I
say
still have
any-
my trombone. I don't. It's at
He
the
didn't say anything about my
Chattanooga
piccolo.
house.
I mean, maybe I'd be down to. I just feel like I'm like, one day if we have some child who wants to play either of those instruments, we would need to get him a new one anyways.
Yeah.
So why the hell would we keep it?
And with me, like, the trombone has a lot of curves and, tubes, and I haven't touched
Just
it in
like
years.
women.
I haven't touched it in years, and
Just like women. I'm just kidding.
No! I hadn't touched
We're
it in years.
married.
And I'm sure it's got mold all over those.
Oh, I bet it's
You know what I
rancid.
mean? Like, it would have to be cleaned.
Honestly, like, maybe if it's at your house in Chattanooga, we're just planning our life on the podcast. Maybe if it's your house in Chattanooga, they could, like, bring it at Christmas time, and then we could get, like, the circle music to clean all of them, and we could sell all of them.
Perhaps. Because I can't imagine I'll pick that up again. It was I enjoyed playing the trombone, I have to say. It was, when it ended, it was time for it to end, of course. But like I did enjoy my like 8-ish years with it. It was fun.
I mean, I had a fine time with the flute. I had multiple flutes. I had a different one when I first started. It was super cheap.
And now
because they didn't know if I was gonna like want to keep playing it. And then I got like a nicer one, but it was used. I can't remember how we bought it. But then the piccolo. First, I had Karen's piccolo because she left it at that school, and I just stole it for a really long time. And then I was like, I probably should have my own. So we bought my own, but it wasn't like a super fancy piccolo.
Yeah. I mean, them instruments they can be real fancy.
Oh
they
yeah,
can be real
I never
expensive.
had a really fancy. I think the one that I got that was used, it was like a silver flute, like the one that I have. So it's nice, but it was really old when I got it. Now it's even much older. So I really don't know how much these are worth if we were to sell.
That's fair.
Probably be best to like sell them cheap to kids at the school that need them.
Yeah.
Get them cleaned and then like have my mom be able to sell them to kids at school.
Definitely don't sell them to Lane Music.
No.
No.
The podcast is not sponsored by Lane Music.
No, it is not.
I would get Circle Music to clean them or Amro.
Nevertheless, the only trombone I'll be playing, and I'm sure in the hopefully the distant future, is the playing a little bit of this. Trying to see something, gotta play a little. As Bing Crosby says, play a little trombone here. So that'll be the only thing I'll do. But yeah, odd time signatures. What a discussion.
Yeah, sorry.
Estimated profits in 7/4. Technically, it's in 14/8. Because it takes two measures for the phrase to be complete, but it's in 7. If you count it in 7, you'll get the same result. Billy, the drummer, Bill Kreutzmann, suggested that it be essentially two measure phrases because it wasn't grooving enough, and that was a fantastic suggestion because it is a very groovy song, as you heard before. We have y'all know we always listen to the tune before we talk about it.
Yes.
So
even if it's a song we listen to all the time.
Yes. So it's fresh on the dome.
Yes. Don't hit yourself like that. That sounded like it hurt a little bit.
And I'm fine. And most of the time, I wouldn't say most, maybe a third of the time, you've never heard of.
Well, yeah.
You haven't heard the song.
Yeah, there are episodes that's a little more you.
Yeah. But,
that's extra reason to listen to it before the episode.
Right.
But I'm just a sidekick. I'm just a comedic relief. So.
Yes.
I do have a question.
Yes.
This might be a dumb question. And I feel like I've thought about this before.
Mm-hmm.
Do bands like this, you talk about the time signature, are they writing music for it? Or is that more just a thought concept?
I think oftentimes they just kind of come up with the feel and then it translates into... Because a lot of these, Phil was classically trained in music, knew a lot about sheet music, that sort of thing. But then you take somebody like Dave Grohl, who cheated on his wife.
He did do that.
He famously,
both of them.
Yeah, famously never learned how to read music. So sometimes it's the product.
At that point, how do you not just by osmosis learn how to read music? I mean, it's also really not that hard.
It's got one of those.
I guess I've known how to read music almost my entire existence.
It has a huge entry barrier, though. When you first start to do it, it's really hard because it's not something you're used to.
Yeah, but it's
You got two clefs, three clefs technically, right?
Nobody's using the third clef.
Tenor clef.
I haven't thought about reading music in a really long time now. I'm maybe I would struggle with it.
See, it's got a large entry barrier.
But what is it? Something about Elvis?
I only know bass clef. Sorry, can only help you there.
You can't read. I could read them both.
Not really, no.
At some point, I would have to rethink about it. I'd probably have to think about it. I wouldn't be able to do it right away.
No. So I think a lot of times, it's 50-50. It just depends on the artist. But a lot of times I would assume that it was just more I really like the way this sounded or the way this felt. And it translated into, this is technically 7/4.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So that's not a dumb question. It's just, it's artist dependent, though.
Thank you. Thank you for making me feel better. I appreciate that.
Anytime. This song has the trademark, womp womp sound, because it's...
You mean womp womp womp?
Yeah. That's a call and response, by the way. I hope you at home, you at home did the taste. What a good song.
No, but we're specifically singing James Charles singing Taste.
Yes.
Which is even better than original Taste. Sabrina Carpenter's Taste should have sampled James Charles.
Missed opportunity, even if it was a little bit at the beginning.
Just a little.
Because doesn't that start the album?
Yeah.
Does that start short and sweet?
Yeah.
Well, I leave quite an impression.
That's the very beginning.
But it has the womp womp sound. Jerry would always
Listen to you say that and not think about
Jerry
James
would
Charles.
always turn on the low pass filter for this song. So on the guitar you hear womp 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 womp. So it makes the guitar
Is that
sound
the
like
case on the song that follows me around too? Because it almost sounded like you were about to start
Althea.
singing it.
that.
It almost sounded like you were about to Althea. It almost sounded like you were about to Althea me.
On the studio version, I do believe there's a small
A bit of wompage.
bit of low pass filterage, yes,
a small
but not on
little
the live
ditty of
versions, no.
wompage.
But yes, so this one definitely has the trait. You could almost tell they're always about to play it. One, from the way that they count it in, but two, like, you know, the first like drum hit and then it's womp, 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 womp. So it's pretty recognizable right away. But this version's incredibly tight, and not that it doesn't get enough attention, because it definitely does. It's a part of their best show, but it gets overshadowed by the fact that it comes after perhaps the best 25 minutes of music that the band ever arguably like recorded live, which is the Scarlet Begonias Into the Fire on the Mountain.
Oh, okay.
So this song follows that up.
It's unfortunate. I know what you're talking about. My mother would be ashamed.
This song follows that up.
My
So
dad is so proud, and my mom's like, "What the hell is she doing?"
me, when you start talking about soccer, like, what the hell is she doing?
Well, I'll be watching a little less soccer now.
Subtle foreshadowing.
Subtle foreshadowing. I have less soccer to watch.
But, you know, obviously it gets the attention, but it is overshadowed by the fact that it's like, wow, you know, it comes after that. But incredibly, or like just incredible to, it's worth mentioning that it is so tight after that 25 minutes of, because at this point we're at least 2/3 of the way through the set. It's like you think like maybe the band's starting to get tired, but like, no, like it is airtight. So, which for, you know, a band that is constantly doing things different every single night, to be that in sync and in tune with one another, like it's
It's
pretty
like
remarkable.
they were doing drugs together or something.
Perhaps. Okay, perhaps. So Phil finds his way in the in-betweens very nicely, you know, on top of Jerry's solos and stuff, but especially, again, from the very get-go. I'd replayed the beginning for you so you could hear, like, how melodic he is with it.
He made me pay attention.
Yes. Pay attention to the womp wompage and the bass.
Yeah.
It's about, the song is about delusions of grandeur. False prophets, that kind of thing. Hence the name Estimated Prophet. But to me, it seems to be like poking fun of their like super like hippy dippy fans. Because quote from Bob Weir says, basis of the song is that this guy I see at nearly every backstage door. There's always some guy who's taking a lot of dope and he's really bug-eyed. He's having some kind of vision. He's got a rave he's got to deliver. So it's like almost making fun of your own fan base, like just a little bit.
Being a little freaky, you guys.
Which is kind of funny.
That is
but like if you listen to the song, it's like, you know, the lyrics are like, oh, I know where I'll go. Like the voices tell me so. Like, you know, I'm going to California kind of thing. And like, you should follow me on this vision. And it's like, why, dude? Just because you did a lot of pot or.
You know, part the Red Sea on the way there, maybe.
Correct. So it's.
No, he's like, come with me on this vision. I am the second coming of Jesus Christ, and we're going into the promised land, a.k.a. Utah.
You ever heard of the Great Salt Lake?
It's this lake. but it's got salt in it.
By the way,
And I'm
on our
thinking
journey,
and I'm thinking about having a couple wives near it.
and on our journey, you can take Diet Coke, but coffee is not
Nope.
permitted.
Hot caffeine off limits. Diet Coke though, yes, and you could put coconut creamer in it.
Mm-hmm. What a concept.
And you can do a lot of other stuff too, as long as you just say that's not what you're doing. You're doing something else.
But that's another reason why I appreciate the song, because it is kind of like funny that you're making fun of, or they're making fun of, like.
We always love jovial tunes.
Yeah, and it is jovial. But that's why I love it, and hopefully why you could have least appreciated it. It was only like a 7-minute version. You know, it wasn't something like
Yeah,
extreme
that's honestly a jingle.
for them.
It's a jingle.
So hopefully you could at least enjoy someone.
I'm down.
Next up, we've got the segment portion of today's show. Kicking it off always is Emma's Everyday Jam, the song that you've been bumping and crashing and banging recently.
I'm not doing any banging. But my everyday jam is also a jovial tune.
Oh.
I this weekend will be going to Nash Vegas. And I will be going to Riley Green's bar, so I've been getting into the spirit, listening to
There was this girl.
Riley. And
Holding
it's one
my
of his
hand.
newer tunes, which we've been listening to a lot, but I've been really, really diving in.
And for some reason, he decided to put on 2 different albums.
He's like, I'll just release this twice. Nobody liked it enough the first time, including himself, because he does this weird thing. He's like, he releases songs and he just like
He's
doesn't
like,
care about
y'all
them.
didn't give it enough attention.
But like, he's never gonna give it attention either. I
Yeah.
don't understand. Just like Behind the Bar, but damn good day to leave. Great jam, very funny.
Yes.
It's great, great tune. And talk about your 3-day weekend money, and I've had a 3-day weekend, so it's
Sick.
another reason to be banging to it, I guess.
You picked a damn good day to leave me sitting here, cooler full of Keystone. Nothing to do but fish all day long. Pocket full of 3-day weekend money and a heartbreak cloud in the forecast, honey. I hate to see you go, but if you ask me, you picked a damn good day to leave.
Next up is our major minor chords, the segment in which we discuss our respective highs and lows for the week. What say you?
Well, I honestly, I'm not even sure if I have a minor, which is great. Big time. But my major, you guys, is maybe the majorest major we've had on the show. I have been moved to the day shift.
Whoa!
I'm going to be a regular human being now. I'm not going to work at
A
night.
human being?
A human being. A regular old human being. And I'm going to work during the day. And I have basically the complete opposite schedule of what I had before. So it's going to be an adjustment period. But I'm going to start working during the day. And then we're going to get to do regular people things at night. And get to hang out. And we're going to have to... It's going to be an adjustment time.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be immediate.
No.
Starting tomorrow, I'll be working at 8 a.m., but we don't have to immediately be like, we're going to transition into it.
Sure.
But I've worked 3 to midnight for over a year, and I'm finally getting what I've wanted. I'm going to get
You
to
sure
work
are?
during the day. And it's really exciting. It's very sudden. They're like, suddenly, now you're going to work during the day, and it starts next week. And I'm like, okay, great.
It actually starts in 3 days. Are you cool
But
with
it
that?
gave me a 3-day weekend because they have adjusted my schedule, so now I wasn't working on Sunday anymore. So awesome!
Sick.
It's so exciting. I'm very excited.
It's
about
big time.
it. Yes,
My only minor is still FSU football.
that is a minor. It's unfortunate.
That meme I sent you before the podcast of like POV, you fell for it again, like thinking FSU could win. It's November. They don't have 2 wins. It's crazy. But major, I did run 18 miles today. Longest trek
Crazy.
that I've ever done. And
So proud of you.
it was a fight, y'all. It was a fight. I had to really dig down deep and fight it, man. It was hard. So, did it though.
Good for you, babe. I'm very proud of you.
So that's that. But last but not least, time for our honorable mentions, the songs in which almost made the cut or follow similar rhyme or reason. First up, another very sweet Grateful Dead song, and the studio version is nice. So go listen to Black Muddy River. It's a little sweet, Dee.
Sounds kind of gross.
I will walk alone by the black muddy river and sing me a song of my own.
Next up on the list, watch the Road Diary, the Bruce Springsteen thing on Hulu that just came out. Finished it last week. It was very good. Gave me more context into the show that I just spontaneously flew down for, and we had a good time. But he played this in DC, but I didn't I thought it was a good song then. I just kind of forgot about it. But it's called Night Shift by Bruce Springsteen. Very make you want to dance. It's very
topical
fun.
as well.
Yes, very very fun. Night Shift, yeah, because you're no longer on it.
That was the whole point. That's why I said that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that one that might make you get up and dance. So listen to it.
Boogie.
Gonna be a long night. It's gonna be alright on the night shift. On the night shift, you found another home. I know you're not alone on the night shift.
And in the vein of other things we can now watch on TV because you don't work at night anymore. Netflix has that thing on the 04 Red Sox.
Holy crap, we should watch that right now, actually. I hadn't even thought about that. Oh my god, all those documentary shows that I've wanted to watch, but
the Diddy one.
Yeah, and I don't want to watch them at night, but we don't have enough time to watch them during the we've been putting watch TV as one of our goals. On our goals sheet every week, we make a goals thing every week. And it's watch TV because we never get to watch TV.
It's hard.
We put on sports because I can watch sports at the same time, but it's difficult to watch TV, and I can pay half attention to it when I'm not that busy.
Yeah.
But whole new world has opened up.
But in that vein, for the 04 Red Sox, go listen to Tessie by the Dropkick Murphys. I bet Tommy's gonna love that one. That's going to do it for us this week, folks. I hope you enjoyed our little commemoration of the life of Phil Lesh. And we're cruising through November now. So hope you enjoy that. November. New bar month. November.
New bar. November. Let's go to the bar.
Thanks for the follow, subscribe, comment, listen, all that good stuff. And we shall see you next week.